What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I've got another discussion video talking about TCG exclusive archetypes. Now, this is something interesting. I mean, I don't know, we haven't been having too much crazy news, and I was going through my box of deck cores, and I came across a couple of TCG exclusive archetypes that I have cores of and am a fan of, and I pretty much wondered, wow, there was really a large gap between some of these decks, how they panned out, how Konami really decided whether or not they wanted to help them. And that's pretty much all we're going to be talking about today. It's just just going through all the TCG exclusive archetypes and talking about what happened, what is it? What I don't know. Just what was the deal with why some of these archetypes were so incredibly powerful and why some of them are so incredibly terrible. So as you can see on the screen, we have the Shafted. These are the archetypes that I would say the most out of all the TCG exclusive archetypes that exist have been shafted, not just in the way of being made as not good decks. UAs are brutal. Vendreads can do some cool things. I've seen some interesting combo versions of Vendreads, and then the FAs just do not much. You can end on maybe the Link plus the Synchro and have a Monster Negate and a Spell and Trap Negate, which is not the worst, but that's not consistent. That's not even that strong of a board, and they're just problems, right? They're just not very good. So no matter their problems, not just the fact that they made them not very good decks, they also have not revisited them in a hot minute. Specifically UA, FA, and Vendreads are a little bit newer than UA. Definitely a couple of years newer than UA, but still they haven't gone back and revisited them. And UA is one that I'm the most shocked of out of all of them, because this deck really has not seen support in a while, and it really needs it. This deck is probably the worst deck out of all TCG exclusive archetypes that exist at the current moment, and we see no sign of Konami going back to try and do anything with this archetype. Now, I could talk about what I'd want Konami to do for this archetype, but that's a whole nother video, and so we're not going to really be delving into that. But yeah, these are the three that just for some reason Konami did not make them good and have not shown too much initiative to make them better. They did release cards FA Shining Star GT, but that only felt like it was new to us, but the OCG had it for a while, a long time before we got it. So when we got it, it felt oh sweet, FA support, but one, it's not even that good. It's okay, it's fine for the deck, but it doesn't even actually do that much, and it's also not that new because the OCGs just had it. Next up, we have the Blessed. These are the archetypes, the TCG archetypes, that at some point Konami decided, yeah, let's do it, let's make them good. Cosmos, just a deck that churns out 3,000 attack point monsters that cannot be targeted. That is scary, especially with how easy they turn it out. This deck can be legit in certain matchups even today. Spirals, we saw Spirals. Spirals and Subtiers kind of go into the same category, sort of, not entirely, but in the same way, meaning that when we saw them, people were kind of excited about them, but then they never did anything, and then Konami released one card that immediately skyrocketed their potential. Spiral skyrocketed to the tune of becoming tier 0. Sub-tiers skyrocketed to the tune of a tier 2 control deck, but still a competitive deck. That deck could go toe-to-toe with anything, once it got sub-tiers, and I still think it can. And then Burning Abyss as well, another deck that kind of more so like Cosmos, I guess, that when it got released it was kind of pretty good, especially once it got the good ones like Skarm and Seer and Graph and all those, which was crazy. So these are the ones that either Konami was just we're either going to make you good, or you're going to seem like you have potential, and then we'll give you that one last piece that fits the puzzle together and puts you in a competitively relevant, or just makes you a good deck, just a good playable deck. And so these are the ones that we see that fit that mold. And there's some other ones as well. These ones are the Dank engines. These are just ones where they're not exactly decks. I guess you could say Danger is can be a deck, but it's more Danger Dark World / Danger Chakra and Maju type stuff like that. It's cool, but it's more cheeky than anything else. It's not the craziest thing in the world. They're more so just engines. These are just decks that end up being like really cool engines between like Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and just all the other kaijus, potentially also playing the field spell with certain decks like Crusadia, World Chalice, combo decks that can get like a Gamma Seal on the board, set up actual negates going first, so it has utility going second. You can also make a ton of negates going first, some nice utility there, and then just the danger just being an insane draw engine. So these ones also ended up being very, very meta relevant, but they're just not their own decks, they're just engines. But still, they're very good. And then we have the failures. The reason I don't put Noble Knights with the first group, the the Shafted, is that Konami tried with Noble Knights. I think just Konami recognized that this is just like such a cool archetype aesthetically. It has a ton of fans. And so they ended up making multiple waves of support for this deck. Unfortunately, just the basis of the deck revolving around equip spells is just a really tough drawback. So they got like their own Rhoda card. They got better and better equip spells. And now we have an essential, like, another just half of the archetype with the Flame Noble Knights, or the Infernoble Knights, coming in Rise of the Duelist, and maybe that'll be the push the deck needs to actually be somewhat of like a rogue deck, at the very least. But yeah, this is just one of the ones where this deck probably has more cards, period, than any other archetype, and it's not even top 6, I would say. And there's like only like not even 15 TCG exclusive archetypes, so like that's pretty bad actually. The reason I just put him here is because Konami seemed to try, like UAs and like Vendreads, like, and the FAs. Konami has not really tried too much since their initial inception, or at least when they got like their main waves of support, to really like bump them up in any way. But they've done multiple waves with Noble Knights over the years to try and give them something. It just hasn't worked out. So that's that. The only two I don't have here, I believe, are Plunder Patrol and Time Thief. That's one other thing I wanted to note, is that those are just new enough. I think Plunder Patrol, with their new support coming in Rise of the Duels, actually have potential to already be like a tier 2 deck, which is really awesome. Really excited for that deck. And then Time Thieves, like, I know they're not crazy new, but we got like their second wave of support like a year ago. Like, it's only been a year. They do some things, like Time Thief Redoers played Index. That's just a generically great rank 4. And we saw them play, like, some Time Thief engines played in like Luna Lights, when Luna Lights were really big last format. So like we've seen like Time Thieves do small things here and there. I still think as a full-on deck, they still need like one more wave of like legit support to like get them there. I hope for that. We'll see what happens. So I don't want to throw them under the bus just yet, or declare them as a mediocre archetype or whatever just yet. And then Plunder Patrol is just super new. We haven't even been able to play with the new support yet. So those two aren't going to be in here either. I just want to make a video going through these. I just thought this was like really interesting. Like, what is the difference here? Like, why are these so bad? Like, I know UAs were made so long ago that like they weren't even as bad as they are now, because there's obviously like, power creep and the general evolution of the game, where this deck like gets phased out even more. But like, I feel like there are just like some generic things that they could just do to like make this deck immediately better. I mean, just like, I don't know. Like, one of the things that comes to mind with a deck like this, like UAs, is like if they got something like a Magical Musketeer Max, or something to the equivalent of that. Because that was like a huge problem for like something like Magical Musketeers. And then once they got it, it's easy. It's a link 1. Like, as long as you can get to it, like, you have a chance. Like, if your opponent doesn't have a negate for Max, like, you always have a chance in a duel. All it takes is to resolve 1 Max, and you can win a duel. And that's what this deck needs, is just one insane power card, and then your win condition just becomes like resolve that card. And unfortunately, it may just need to be a link 1 in that fashion. But I also think the deck clearly could like benefit from some like more lower level monsters that could be normal summon, because it's just a midfielder and he's fine. But what if they just got like a Stratos? Like, you literally summon it, search a monster, swap them. That gives you a negate, like, just off that, which is not the worst thing in the world. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's, like I said, that's a whole nother video. What are your guys' thoughts? Like, what is the difference here? Why do these decks just end up being the shafted? Why hasn't Konami gone to, like, give these decks more support? Let me know your thoughts. I don't know. I really have just been pondering it. This is just kind of just to spark a discussion of any kind, and just kind of pass it along, get everybody thinking, and hopefully, I mean, I would love for UAs to get support. That's mine. I know a lot of people liked Avengers. They thought they had potential. A lot of people love zombies. And then FAs were kind of cool, but not particularly loved by a mass of people. But I don't know. There's somebody who likes every deck, so I don't want to, like, throw them to the wayside either. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts down below on why these decks got shafted like they did, and why some of these decks ended up being made, like, legit competitive juggernauts, and then, like, insane engines and all this stuff. So I don't know. Thank you so much for watching. Just a little discussion video, just talking about some stuff, some thoughts. I just was going through my box, found some of these deck cores, and I was like, why is that? Why? UAs have such a cool design, such a cool, like, oh my gosh, it's so, like, American, so, like, you know what I mean, like, so TCG, but they just, like, didn't push it. They just did not push it to try and give it any more support. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts there, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more discussion videos in the future, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.